Okay, so thanks everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. Want to cover a couple things today. Just some observations on the debate from the other night. We've got Renee Coleman Mitchell, former Department of Public Health, actually heavily recruited by Governor Lamont for that role. And Luis Ortiz from the Department of Transportation, who you've probably met before. So let me give just a few observations. I was pretty pleased with the debate. I do think we showed the contrast. We've had a governor who's had 4 years to fix things, and they haven't been fixed. And rather than admitting they're still broken, he's kind of pretending that everything is fine. And I don't hear that. We've had 3 bus tours now. I've probably met thousands of people on the campaign trail. People do not feel that Connecticut is more affordable. People certainly don't feel that Connecticut is safer. And people are concerned that government's getting between them and their own children. And in order to change those things, it's clear we're going to have to change governors. We've got a plan. It's called Connecticut First. Fight inflation, reduce state taxes, going to make Connecticut more affordable, over $2,000 per family. We've publicly come out and said we're going to reverse the damaging portions of Governor Lamont's anti-police bill. We're going to keep police safe. We're going to keep residents safe. And we have a parental bill of rights that's going to put parents back in charge of raising their own kids. What a novel idea. And we're getting government out of the way. We also corrected the record on whether Governor Lamont put infected patients, COVID-infected patients, coming out of hospitals into nursing homes. You all know that he did it. We all know he did it. It's in the paper. It's the headlines of paper. Renee's going to talk about it in a minute. The governor was on WTIC this morning. All these weasel words, right? Well, we did it, but we put them in wings of the nursing units that were closed. Well, we did have a shortage of nurses, and they were doing both, but they changed their gowns and they changed their masks. Come on. The point is, why in the world would you ever put any infected COVID patient into the most susceptible population? Over 70% of the COVID deaths across the country were in people aged 65 and over. I don't care whether they're in a different ring. I don't care whether the nurse changed his or her gown. The point is we never should have done it. It's exactly what Governor Cuomo did in New York, and he simply can't deny it. I imagine there's a counter speech after this one, and they're going to tell you that we never did it or it was protected. You guys all know we did it. End of story. I can remember getting calls from the nursing homes. On April 1st, we went down to New Jersey. The governor had mandated masks, but we didn't have any. I got a call from New Jersey. They said they had masks. I went in Pat Sasser, right over there. We hopped into his pickup truck, his broken down pickup truck. We drove down to New Jersey. We loaded 100,000 masks in the back of the truck. I paid for them personally. The guy wanted COD, cash on delivery. I got an $80,000 cashier's check at the bank on the way down there. We sent a picture of the masks over to the hospital. We said, are these okay? They said yes. April 1st, 2020. On the way back, and Pat can verify this, on the way back, I texted Governor Lamont. Said, Governor, we have a source of masks down here in New Jersey. They got a whole warehouse. Stop waiting for them from Donald Trump. Stop waiting for them on the tarmac from California. Here's the number. Here's the broker. He pushed me off to Josh Gabel. You know how many masks the governor bought from that facility in Newark? 0. That's the difference in leadership. You can sit in this building on the top floor, have your black SUV parked over here, be worth $500 million or whatever he's worth, and sit there and do nothing. Or you can call up your buddy, you can get in a pickup truck, you can drive your butt down there, you can load him in the back, you can bring him to your garage, and you can get him out to the nursing homes that were calling every morning begging for masks because they're putting plastic bags over themselves to keep themselves safe. Unconscionable. when we win this thing, we're going to put people first. We had 13% of staff and people in nursing homes die in Connecticut. Governor Lamont doesn't talk about that stat. Governor Lamont doesn't talk about the fact that we had the 5th highest death in people over 65 in the entire country. He travels around at this level, at 40,000 feet. Oh, we had one of the best responses. Tell that to the people who had parents in nursing homes that were sitting next to a COVID-infected patient that died. We've got examples. It happened. There was no rule book for COVID. I get it. It was a once in history. I get it. But the governor needs to step up and say he made a mistake. The people who lost loved ones deserve it, and he's got to stop lying about it. And when whoever comes up after I'm done and disputes it, ask him why he even considered putting COVID patients into a nursing home. Whether it's an abandoned wing, whether the gowns were changed, I don't care what. Why in the world would you ever even consider putting our highest risk people at more risk? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to a horrific person who actually speaks the truth, and again, was recruited heavily by the governor, Renee Coleman Mitchell, former head of Department of Health. Renee?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Renee D. Coleman Mitchell. I am the Connecticut's former Commissioner of Public Health. I am here today to express my opinion on the governor's quality of character. I entered the Department of Public Health with a master's in public health and hospital administration experience to become Connecticut's top public health official as commissioner, handpicked by Governor Ned Lamont. For that, I was very grateful and believed in the governor, and I thought he believed in me. Yet, in February 2020, I became disillusioned and disappointed when I experienced racial discrimination resulting in unwarranted oppression that I endured from the intentional efforts of the governor and his administration to humiliate, erase, discredit, and cruel attempts to ruin my 30-plus year blemish-free reputation and contributions to public health. Unfortunately, women experience all types of discrimination, bias, all the time. But for me, some of the racial practices that were put into place was the humiliation by removing my job duties as the public health commissioner in this state during the worst pandemic that we haven't seen since 100+ years, erasing me and my contributions, attempting to ruin my reputation with a very public, humiliating firing that went from state to national level. The governor did call me 2 days after that public firing, seeming and sounding genuine in his concern, giving his assurance that he would help me go forward in light of what had transpired. And guess, I believed him. That conversation occurred on May 13th, 2020. Since that time, the governor kept delaying and subsequently became completely silent to this day. The quality of character is extremely important during a time that we are in right now. Speaking to all women, most of us can remember a time or times when we have experienced being humiliated, discredited, and or erased. So many women have shared their stories with me during these last 2.5 years since I've been fired. This is a pivotal moment for us women to reflect and say no more will I allow such treatment to persist. We can stand up to our oppressors together and voice our discontentment and being treated as such. Women have been deemed as minorities, but you all can attest to the fact that together, women have extreme collective power. Ladies, it's time that our contributions are recognized. Although never mentioned, my actions of the nursing home restrictions and the mobile vans saved lives here in Connecticut during our worst pandemic. The governor brags and boasts about how well he handled, and his administration that I was not a part of, handled COVID-19, and keeps that narrative out there, hiding the fact that many lives were needlessly lost. His handling of COVID-19 was to replace his hand-selected top public health official with a male with no public health experience or practice to lead the pandemic response in Connecticut? What does that say to the people who have lost their loved ones? Does that say we have done a great job? What part of COVID-19 was truly successful when you look at the number of deaths that Bob Stefanowski just shared with us in percentages? The total number of deaths in our vulnerable populations and communities of color are never mentioned and never broken out. We're given aggregate data so that we can look good as a state. Keep in mind, all that glitters isn't gold. The governor touts that he has a diverse administration. A diverse administration has nothing to do with racial discrimination. In my opinion, that statement alone clearly proves that he doesn't get it or he doesn't want to recognize it. The administration appears to hold a blind eye to what's happening in other state agencies as well. Folks, listen. How do we even get to a place in Connecticut and even in this country where we are more concerned with name recognition than a candidate's quality of character? The candidate's quality of character should be the foremost in choosing who governs our state, because it will mean everything to all of us going forward. I like to thank Bob for allowing me to put the facts forth and using this platform. Thank you.
Okay, and final up is Luis Ortiz from the Department of Transportation.
Thank you, sir. My name is Luis Ortiz. I'm a Puerto Rican employee of the Department of Transportation. Since 2018, over a dozen minorities have come forth with racial allegations that we can prove against the management of the Department of Transportation. We have been begging Ned Lamont since 2018 when he came to our union meeting to ask for votes. He has promised us a number of times to help and has ignored us for years. We have asked for help from every Democratic leader, Blumenthal, Rosa DeLauro, and Chris Murphy. No one wants to pay attention. We have even asked the media, but since the Democrats decree what goes on the news and what doesn't, nobody has paid attention. The only one person has paid attention is the Stefanowskis and Inside Investigator that did a remarkable story that's not even getting any playtime. This is still happening to us. We are being called racial slurs at work, and when we complain, we are being punished forced out of a job or our raises taken away. Also, all the people who are guilty of being racist against the minorities are getting promoted. So they're doing better for being racist. We have asked for help and we are continually ignored. No one wants to even look into the problem, and we have the proof waiting for anyone who will give us a second. Governor Lamont I have spoke to him a number of times, and a number of times he has promised to help. And then, after years of being ignored, I started following him and asking him to answer why he has ignored all of us, his registered voters, the minorities that work in his state. And he has no comment. I've been labeled as a troublemaker because I'm fighting for the rights of minorities. Sorry. Come on, turn off. I've been labeled as a troublemaker because I expect him to make good on his promises. The Black Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, people that are put in charge of helping minorities are ignoring our pleas for help because they want to support the Democratic leaders who promise them compensation for whatever projects they have going on. They have even told me to wait until after Ned Lamont is reelected so they can address the issue. Who's here to help us? They label me as a troublemaker, but I've been begging for over 4 years for anyone to help. And I will keep on until the minorities of the Connecticut DOT are safe. This is still happening. If anyone looks into it, if anyone contacts me, I have videos, testimonies that are certified for court. No one wants to look into it. And he's had his Attorney General, William Tong, crush any racial discrimination lawsuit that comes out of the Connecticut DOT. Who's supposed to help? That's what I'm trying to find out. But Ned Lamont won't give me an answer. Thank you very much for your time.